Hey, I'm Jim, one of the co-founders of Graymatter. What you're about to see is my conversation with Virginie Aubert. She's our Chief Science Officer. She has 20 years of experience researching the way that nutrition affects the brain. She's a PhD molecular biologist with labs in both Chicago and Lucerne, Switzerland. Super knowledgeable. We talk about her background, why she partnered with Graymatter to bring her research to the public in the form of the products that we create. We talk about our flagship product, Bright Mind, why we formulated it the way that we did, how it affects you, what you can expect from it. And it's a really great conversation. I learned a lot talking to her. I learn more and more every time I talk to her. And hope you enjoy it. We look forward to bringing you more science-based research and products that can help you. But check it out.
So thanks for joining us. I'm Jim, one of the co-founders of Graymatter. This is Virginie Aubert. Did I mess up your name?
No.
Is that right? It's good.
Yeah, it's perfect.
We together created Bright Mind, and we're going to talk to you about it and kind of how it came about, and some of the benefits that you can get from it. So we met like a year ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was here in the street.
Yeah, up the street at Soho House. We just kind of started talking about the project. Noe, who I was working with it on, met you first, and then I came a little bit later. What about that is in kind of what we told you, what we were working on, and the meeting subsequently after was interesting to you?
Yeah, as we discussed many times, I got my PhD 20 years ago on cellular molecular biology, and since then I put all my energy in science, trying to understand how nutrition affects the brain. And to do that, I lead a team of scientists working with animals, reading a lot of literature. So basically, the scientists based in Chicago, Lausanne, they do experiments on a day-to-day manner to advance the science and knowledge on how food can change the brain.
Yeah.
And obviously, very quickly, I started to be interested in how I can myself increase my own brain performance.
Yeah.
And we discussed about that and started to see all the compounds in literature that come from food and that may help me to have more energy, to live my life 100% with like being healthy and happy. But I am a scientist and I work at universities and I am not an entrepreneur. And while I was very interested in like giving what I was knowing and building to people, I could not know how to manage it. I met you because you had the same goal.
Yeah. And that's really to help people find plant compounds, adaptogen type things that they can get in a supplement form that can help them perform at their best.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you were working on all these things, and of course you then want to implement it into your life. From my standpoint, I started my first company at 26, and I was too young to be doing that. I just kind of fell into it, and it was very apparent that I needed to get better for the company to be viable and success. I needed to have longer periods of focus. I needed to have less anxiety. I needed to just simply be more productive and a better leader. And so I started studying what I could do to do that. Meditation was a really, really big thing for me here. That helped quite a bit, and I still do that to this day. But then also taking different supplements in a very functional manner, with intention on, okay, if I take this alpha GPC, it's going to give me 3 hours of focus. If I want to reduce the cortisol that is, building up because I'm stressed, I should probably take some adaptogens. So I ended up having this large cabinet full of supplements, and eventually, came up with the idea of just making our own, and worked with you on what that would be, since we shared such a common interest for the powerful effects of what it can do to improve your cognitive performance.
But I think we've been also lucky because we are at the perfect time in the scientific research. It's been a while that people are looking for compounds that we produce ourselves and that won't affect our health. And that will increase the brain performance. But the research didn't end up finding them until very recently. So that's why I think it's also the best time to produce new projects. So this kind of project that we are now, they don't exist, and we could not build them together like a few years ago because we didn't have the knowledge. So I think that was also excited to think that we can use really the new science and the new concept of nootropic adaptogen to help people. I think it's really, there are really new finding there
that are safer, right, and could even be more effective, depending on the different ways that you look at it.
They are safer. Why? Because just they don't come from chemistry. I mean, they are not synthetic products. We eat them every day. Our body, for example, this alpha GPC, our body are producing this alpha GPC all day long to increase the connection between our synapses. So, for us to think and to be efficient, our synapses, they need to communicate with each other, and sometimes they are very lazy and they don't want to, so they produce alpha GPC, and we just, with this Graymatter Bright Mind, we can increase the level of this neurotransmitter to help the brain to perform better. But we produce this molecule already, so they are really safe. And they have the risk of addiction.
And that's one of the reasons that we started Graymatter and came up with Bright Mind, is that you can look and see that Adderall or energy drinks or even just coffee. I love coffee, but some people can drink too much of it. Adderall absolutely changes your brain chemistry, and sometimes not in the best way. Certainly some people who need it, but maybe others that use it. And I think that the goal of Graymatter is to make sure that people know about these compounds and can use them effectively and hopefully help them perform better and reach their potential.
Hopefully it will.
It will, definitely. And it is proven, and obviously this is the work that you do with lots of different studies on how this affects your brain. So there's multiple different blends in Bright Mind. There's 4 of them in particular. There's the Go blend, that's the energy. There's BrainX, that's the nootropic blend. Adaptogen's blend is the flow blend, and then the VisionDefense. So all 4 of these things have their own specific function. In terms of the Go blend, and when we think about coffee or energy drinks and people getting energy from substances, caffeine definitely is one of the best substances that can improve alertness and give you energy. It's reducing adenosine. That's the compound that builds up in your brain that makes you sleepy. So there is caffeine in Bright Mind, but we get it from matcha and from green tea, and because of that, it has L-theanine in it, and that is a compound that really helps even out that kind of jitteriness feeling that you get with coffee or energy drinks, and synthetic caffeine in particular, which a lot of Bright Mind competitors would have. And so that, along with guarana, vitamins, it really gives you a sustained energy, without a crash. So I don't know if you've spent any time looking into that, but just in your experience with taking it, does it feel like it gives you energy?
Yeah. I mean, first, I have experience with reading literature about these compounds that are really proven to be very efficient in giving energy. And obviously, I mean, now, today, we all are very busy day. We all work full-time. We want to be efficient and we need energy. We drink coffee for that. And I experienced the crash after few minutes.
You're not just a scientist, you're a mother of 2?
3.
3, sorry. Even more things for you to do, right?
Plus, beside that, I am a mother, but I also do a lot of exercise. I also spend time exploring city. I want to go to a museum, a restaurant, to go to vacation in different parts of the world.
Switzerland to Chicago.
I need to fly to a lot of places. actually to go to conference.
Yeah.
I experienced jet lag, so brain fog, and the issue is not having like motivation or, light at the beginning of the day is really one of the issues I have. So I take coffee, but we all know that caffeine is very active acutely. So you have an effect, especially from coffee. And there is
right away.
And then it decreases, you have this curve, like increase energy and then crash, which is not good, or you have to drink coffee all day, and it comes also with multiple side effects on you, homeostasis and physiology. And so, as you know, there is tons of research showing that green tea is very healthy for many reasons, but also the energy that you can extract from this green tea, and the caffeine that you extract from this green tea, gives you caffeine that doesn't have exactly the same effect that the caffeine coming from coffee. And the effect is very specific. So you will experience increased amount of energy, but it will be sustained during the time, so you will have less of a crash. And this way, obviously, you will be able to do all your activities more efficiently for a long period of time. Which I think is a very important component of this blend. And motivation and energy is obviously one of the major needs for all people.
It's probably one of the most impactful blends in the formula. Obviously, people take Bright Mind knowing or wanting to feel energetic. So that's kind of how we do it. I was also listening to the Huberman Lab. Just very well-known scientist as well that does lots of podcasts. And he was explaining that caffeine in a substance form, powder form, actually has a longer impact than if you were just to drink coffee itself. So we definitely fit into that the first side, which does have a longer effect, and I think that is seen in some of the feedback that we get. People report that it really helps them stay focused for a long period of time. And again, no crash. Like you mentioned, coffee or other substances that are really stimulants can jerk your homeostasis around, and because of that, we did the green tea caffeine, but then we also added the Adaptogen blend, which as we call it, the flow blend. It really helps provide that homeostasis and levels out cortisol levels. And I think what we can find when we're very stressed is that cortisol can peak and stay high. If it's chronically high, that can really affect your performance. Whether you're gaming in a tournament, or you're giving a presentation at work, or you're in a really deep focus for creating things because you're a content creator. All of these things can actually have lots of stress-inducing effects on your brain. And so we added a number of different adaptogens to this flow blend to try to help smooth that out. So things like ashwagandha, that's one of the most well-known adaptogens, and that's clinically proven to reduce cortisol levels, or at least find a balance in cortisol levels. There's rhodiola, there's cordyceps, there's ginseng. So like all these different very plant-based compounds really help that even keel feeling that you get with Bright Mind.
There is research on many of these compounds, but a lot of research on guarana, for example. So for example, I recall very serious clinical studies of 169 and 150 athletes who took guarana, and they clearly increased their performance. It's also clear that there is many peer-reviewed research, so meaning like very serious research reviewed by scientists, and that so that this adaptogen also increase memory performance, decrease stress, as you said, because it's changed the level of cortisol, and also can boost brain focus. And I would say that what is super important with this blend is that, again, people might think sometimes that when they want to be performant, they just need to increase their energy. They just need to take a drug, like a food that will increase the energy. So it means that this increase, I think, will happen just into the brain, like, okay, increase energy. But in fact, our body is more complex than being a brain. It's all our tissue, our organs are connected all together. And I think it's almost not useful, even harmful, to increase your energy without trying to connect all the other tissue, organs, hormone to this increase of energy. And I think that is really the goal of putting together a blend that increases energy together with a blend that is an adaptogen that will balance this energy and that will increase the communication between the brain and all other tissue, just to stay healthy and to feel focused and good and not overwhelmed. And I think that the problem of a lot of people taking energy drinks is that they feel overwhelmed and eventually they are not efficient anymore. So I think the goal is really to balance it all, to take the best of this increase of energy and be efficient. I think energy is not useful if you are not balanced and focused.
Definitely. So we provide clean energy, the adaptogen flow blend to really keep a balance, and then our BrainX blend, which is our nootropic blend. Nootropics, for a definition, there are different compounds that help increase the synapse connection in your brain so that the neurotransmitters can fire more effectively and properly, and it just helps your brain operate at a higher level, essentially. One of the ones we talked about already is alpha GPC. It's a precursor to acetylcholine. It's something your body, your brain makes, and it's very important for cognitive function. There's L-tyrosine. I know you've done some research on this, but L-tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine. See, most people know what dopamine is, but it's kind of like your pleasure center, right? So that helps you feel good.
Energy. Pleasure also, together with serotonin.
Serotonin, got it.
That give you the mojo.
Motivation
to do things.
Exactly.
The happiness of doing things.
The motivation and that things, and I think that's important when we're talking about Bright Mind Everyone's 4. It's like a lot of times people drink coffee or look for some sort of substance to kind of power through something they maybe don't want to do, right? So that motivation is key. And there's phosphatidylserine. This is a compound that really also regulates cortisol levels. It's a fatty substance, and your brain has lots of fat, and it kind of covers the cells in your brain in a very protective manner, and helps them kind of work together with the different proteins inside of your brain. And then nitrosigine, which is basically a vasodilator, and that's in this blend and Bright Mind in general to help the uptake of these different compounds, because it increases blood flow to places like the brain.
This concept of nootropic, it's pretty novel. Again, is driven by very serious literature, so published in like very high impact journal. And it also comes together with the concept of this biohacking, meaning that we use molecules that are used by our body. We know them so well that we know that today they are crucial, but for some reason we don't have enough of these molecules to perform at our best. So that's why it's biohacking. So you kind of hijack like your body with something original. And of course, now what we know, right? The brain is quite a complex organs. It's actually maybe multiple organs, but one cells that are crucial in the brain to function is our neurons, right? And neurons, they are are made of like plasma membranes, a membrane that is made of fat.
Yeah.
And this fat is this PS,
Phosphatidylserine.
this phosphatidylserine, among other things.
It's hard to say.
And if you want that two neuron, and the principle of memory of performance is that you have all these giant circuit containing millions of neurons. They have to discuss with each other.
Yes.
And they are like connected via their membrane, and they send message to each other.
Yeah.
And their membrane is made of this little piece of fat that we probably don't have enough. Actually, this phosphatidylserine decrease with aging, decrease with stress. So we really, with this Bright Mind, provide with this fat that actually will help long term the brain to be healthier and to be more efficient.
Yeah.
So this is one thing. And the second thing is that these cells, right, to discuss with each other, they need to send message.
Yeah.
And we also provide with some of these molecules that help the neuron to connect and to discuss with each other quickly to increase brain performance. And I will say here with brain blend, what is important is that it's also it has an acute effect, so you will feel it right away. But if you take a Bright Mind on the long range, you will increase even more the effect. And this is very important to note. This nootropic works even better to take them like on the chronic.
I was just going to say that you made me think of it. Start talking about brain health. You know, there's a very acute effect, and it's going to help you right away. But if you want to have compounding effects over time, you can take these substances on a semi-regular basis, and it's going to improve the composition of your mental makeup. That's super powerful.
But it's like taking superfood, right? You won't think that if you eat superfood one day, you won't think that this superfood will increase suddenly your health and your physiology efficiency within a day. You have to do it for like for a certain period of time for your body to adapt and to build new, in this case, new neuron, new connection, because the brain is super plastic. You have a high level of plasticity.
What does that mean for people who don't know what that means?
Plastic, it means that like a long time ago, actually, when I started my PhD, we always were told, okay, the brain never changed. You arrive at 25 years old and then you have neuron dying, and then you wait until
you're born how you are. You can't change your brain.
It's not true. So now all the research that's happened these 20 past years show that the brain is plastic, meaning that with your experience, you live in life, you increase the connection. That's why if you do gaming, actually, gaming improve connection between neurons if you have the good diet and the good supplements. Experience in life, increase the communication or change even the path of all these synapses to discuss with each other. You can even also have stem cells, so new cells in the brain that went to become new neuron.
So you're creating more pathways for communication.
More pathways. Some pathway will disappear, other will come. And actually, people living longer, and athletes, and also people being very creative, like very late in life. They have like a lot of like many connection, more than people being creative and thinking. And
well, that's interesting. I agree with that.
So that's the concept of plasticity, is that you act with the food, with nutrients, but with also experience in life. You change your brain's plasticity, and you can increase many of this connection between synapses and eventually your productivity, efficiency, and performance.
It's fascinating, and I don't think that's widely known. And it's one of the first things that I read when I went back, to my original story about trying to improve my performance when I was younger. That I simply could, right? And like this anxiety level that I would have, I didn't have to feel that way if I was able to work on it and pull these levels of neuroplasticity that ended up with the better brain chemistry. So that's really the point and the goal of Graymatter, is to help people live a better life through these types of substances that help them. So the feedback we've been getting so far has been great. The last blend is the VisionDefense blend, and there's a few different compounds in this, but really what we're aiming to do here is help the people that are staring at screens all day, and that's a lot of us. There's
everybody.
Astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, I don't know if I'm saying that one right, but vitamin E, vitamin C. Those first two are carotenoids. These science terms are hard to say, but they're essentially pigments that are protective of your eye cells against certain types of light. So things like blue light that we'll get from our phone or from our computer screen or whatnot. And they also help relax some of the eye muscles, so to keep it more calm.
I would add something on this VisionDefense. I think it's very important to keep healthy eyes. For obviously, because we all want to see life as long as possible. And we all know that since young age now we have to be on screen, on phone, and obviously we all have to most of the time work on computer. And the problem is eye fatigue, but it's also the damage to the eyes. And you know that the eyes are neuron also.
They're part of your brain, right?
They are connected directly to the brain. And there is actually a lot of research on that, showing that people with damaged eyes and optic nerve, they have issue with physiology. Because the brain is the boss of the body, and kind of direct all the organs. As I said before, we are not a brain, a liver, a heart. We are like a multitude of organs working with each other. But who directs the discussion between organs is the brain. And today there is a lot of research showing that people with issue with the eyes, they have physiological disease, some metabolic disease, for example, because indirectly the damage of the eyes damage the brain and damage the center of discussion. So it's maybe more crucial what we think. It's not about I will have glasses or whatever. It's really important to keep the eyes healthy for the long lifetime, because the eyes is really the window, and it's directly connected to the brain. And
that's amazing.
The optic nerve is the longest actually nerve in the body. And
it's the longest.
Not the longest, like the central nerve, peripheral nerve that are longer than that, vagal nerve. But I think people might think that it's maybe just a plus of this powder to have like a VisionDefense blend, but I think it's crucial to
you teach me more about our own product all the time. I had no idea. That's amazing.
And there is new things. I think it was important. It is important also to read every single day about science. And actually, it's what we have been doing. That's why you come up with like the best project, because we work every single day on trying to know better the new science. I also perform this kind of experiment using this compound in the lab myself with my team, and I go every month to conference trying to keep up, an eye and to know what's going on. Also to make sure that we are on the good track, and that we have the best for consumers and for ourselves, because we take that also product. So
and we can use some of the things that you're learning and stay on the cutting edge of science to continue to make more products or improve Bright Mind and whatnot. So Graymatter Labs, the work that you do is staying on the forefront of this type of medicine, how people can improve their performance, and we're looking forward to bringing more products to the people. So cheers to that.
Cheers. So you have some here.
Thanks, Virginie.
Thanks.